woke up this morning with the sunrise in my eyes. My rock's sweeter beneath the one I love. I don't know how, don't know why, I've been toasting all my life. Oh, it's sweeter. I've been toasting all my life.
Welcome to Phillip Island, Victoria in Australia. What a setting we have for this great sporting contest, the Little Penguin Sea to Dune race. Nervous moments always as they gather on the beach, the tension mounting, and away they go. There's the defending champion, wearing his familiar navy blue and white, great waddling style. Another pre-race favourite though, losing touch with the pack. Maybe that's why. A few too many fish in the day's feeding. There's a familiar face, Skip McIntyre, 8 times a champion back in the 90s, a very successful coach now, keeping a keen eye on proceedings. This the leading group, 1 or 2 still able to put on a show for the camera, others just ploughing straight over it. Some resorting to shortcuts. Sad that cheating has crept into this beautiful sport. The judges will have a look at that. But up at the front, the pace is relentless, closing in on those sand dunes that will offer a bed for the night. The fatigue starting to tell. Who's got the finishing kick up on the outside? What a turn of pace from that one, whichever one it is. No answer from the rest, and he takes victory. What a win. There we are, into the Burrow, building an extension with his winnings, and back tomorrow to try and defend his title here on Phillip Island.
Hello and welcome to another night of live Penguin TV. I hope you're all excited to see our favourite little penguins, the smallest species of penguins, making their way home from the ocean, across the beach and back to their burrows on land here on Phillip Island in Victoria, Australia at the Penguin Parade. Tonight we are joined by the lovely Heather. So Heather, come on in, say hello and let us know what you will be doing tonight.
Good evening everyone. Tonight I will be monitoring the YouTube, and hopefully giving Jordan some really good questions. So yeah, give me some really tricky questions on YouTube, and I'll be telling you how many penguins crossed the beach last night in a little while. So put your guesses in for that as well.
Yes, we know that every night Wattle watchers out there, or the regular Wattle watchers who watch night after night, always love to have a little bit of a guess about how many penguins they thought crossed the beach the night before. So in the comments, let us know how many you think there was, and I'll give you some time to do that, and I'll tell you a little bit about what we'll be seeing tonight. And if you were watching live Penguin TV last night, you would have witnessed something pretty special but pretty shocking as well. We did have a penguin crossing the beach that did have an entanglement around its neck. So if you were watching last night, Megan actually spotted this on the live stream, and in fact I think a lot of you Wattle watchers out there saw the penguin coming in with the entanglement around its neck. She wasn't able to radio me and I had to go to the rescue. So I'll tell you a little bit more about the story in just a moment, but if this is your first time watching live Penguin TV, I just wanted to give you a little bit of a heads up on what to expect tonight. And we have some very passionate Wattle watchers who love commenting in the comments, sort of both Facebook and YouTube. So if you are going through the comments and you are seeing the words huck, 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 you're probably like, what is going on? What is the meaning of this? And these are our regular live Penguin TV fans, viewers, who we call the Wattle watchers, because a group of penguins on land we like to call a waddle of penguins. And when penguins are getting ready to make their way home, when they're gathering together out in the ocean, they want to try and call out to each other to try and find as many friends as possible so that they can cross the beach as one nice big waddle, because there's safety in numbers. And crossing the beach at the end of the day on this open sandy beach just in front of us, it's the scariest and most vulnerable time of day for these little penguins, because they've got beautiful blue feathers on their back which help them camouflage against the surface of the water from any big scary predatory birds that might be flying around, such as swamp harriers, sea eagles, whistling kites, Pacific gulls, all those big scary birds that would love to snack on a penguin for breakfast, lunch or dinner. So they stay out in the ocean, fishing, diving, having a great old time. And when it starts to get dark, these penguins, they've worked out over many, many thousands of years that once it gets to a certain light level each night, those birds go to bed. They return to their nest to roost for the evening, which means they can cross the open sandy beach, which is where we get to see them crossing the beach, and they're not going to get swooped down on by any of those predatory birds. So that's what we're waiting for tonight. We're waiting for it to get nice and dark, or at least dark enough that the penguins are 99.9% sure they're going to be able to cross the beach and not get swooped down on. So yeah, that's exactly what we're waiting for. And last night, do you remember what time they crossed the beach last night, Heather?
I do. It was 8:47.
8:47, so it's currently 8:29 here in Victoria. So hopefully they'll be expected in the next...
Bit of sea mist tonight though, Jordan.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, we'll see what our penguins think of the sea mist.
Interesting. So one thing I will apologise to all you Wattle watchers about is that we do have a little bit of sea mist. I'm sorry, I can't control the weather. So a little bit further on in the stream, our camera might get a little bit foggy. I will do my best to zoom in on the penguins and get as clear an image as we can. But I might have to ask Pip once or twice throughout the stream, our ranger Pip, who is looking after the people sitting on the Penguins Plus stand just below us, to give it a bit of a once over. So that's a little bit about what we'll be doing there. Once the penguins do start crossing the beach, we'll have about 20 or so, well, officially it's 20 minutes of penguin viewing, but if you have watched me before, you'll know that my 20 minutes usually turns, Heather's laughing at me, usually turns into about 30, 40, sometimes 50 minutes. So I figure that if you are bored, you will tune out. Otherwise, you can just listen to me talk about penguins until I finish talking. So I hope you're ready. Get those questions coming. So Heather will be mainly focusing on answering, or finding questions in YouTube tonight, but occasionally she might flick over to Facebook to see if there's any questions coming through. So at any point throughout the stream, if you've got a burning question that you would love to have answered, please do chuck it in the comments and we will do our best to get back to you live on the air. But we usually do have lots and lots of questions coming through. So if we don't manage to get to your question tonight, keep tuning in night after night, and we will hopefully be able to answer that question the more you keep asking it. And if you do ask your question on Facebook tonight, we do have a wonderful team of penguin rangers who go through within about 24 hours or so and give you a personalised answer to all of your questions in the Facebook comments. So that's why Heather's mainly going to be focusing on YouTube tonight, because we don't quite have the capacity to do that yet. So I haven't spotted any penguins at the water's edge just yet, and we can see it is looking a little bit misty out there, so it is going to be a bit trickier to spot those penguin rafts, the groups of penguins out in the water. So we will be listening out, or Heather will be listening out over the radio to hear some calls from Ranger Sally, who is counting the penguins tonight. No, I'm just making sure they hadn't come up a little bit further to the right. Is there anyone in the seaweed? Oh, it looks like, okay. We're not going to see a penguin just yet, but I've just spotted, I think it's two little sooty oyster catchers, which are these two. I'm following this one on the right. A sooty oyster catcher, as the name suggests, it's a penguin neighbour, and they love snacking on oysters. So they're a friend, they're a neighbour of the penguins, and they're pretty rare, and they're gorgeous little birds. And we do have a pair over on Churchill Island, which I think was about 14 years old. So one of the oldest that we have on the island at the moment. So 14 years is pretty good for a bird. So while we don't have any penguins, I just thought I would introduce you to this little guy who's got beautiful red legs, a long red beak, and red around its eyes as well. And we might be able to see them a little bit later during the stream as well. But there's probably something that you are all desperate to know, and I did allude to it a little bit earlier, and that was a lot of you will be so eager to know how many penguins crossed the beach last night. So every single night we are counting penguins crossing the beach for 50 minutes, just under an hour, 50 minutes, and every night we get a brand new total because there's different penguins coming in every single night. So Heather has the magic number for last night, and have we been having many guesses in the comments thread, Heather?
We haven't had many guesses, so should we hold out for a little while?
No, that's okay. I won't keep you waiting. So Heather, let us know how many penguins crossed the beach last night.
So last night was 1,015.
1,015 penguins. So that is a lot of penguins, and we typically get most of the penguins, about 60 to 70% of them, coming up near Penguins Plus, which is the pathway directly in front of us over here. So we normally have very similar numbers of penguins between nights. So we're hoping we'll get about the 1,000 mark, because we've been getting that quite consistently over the last couple of weeks. So I hope you're all very, very excited. Now, before I jump into too much penguin information, which I hope you're all ready for, I am totally going to do, I just wanted to stop and take a moment to acknowledge the land that we are standing on today, where the penguins are and where Heather and I are joining you from, as well as a lot of guests who have finally been able to join us at the penguin parade and watch these little guys come home. So they'll be able to see them in the flesh. You would have already seen some people in the grandstands just over here. So we are here on Phillip Island, as I mentioned before, but it also has another name, and that is Malau. And Malau is the name given by the Bunurong people, who are the traditional custodians of the land on where we are joining you from. So I want to pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and acknowledge the way in which the Bunurong have cared for this country over so many thousands of years. And now we have the privilege to work alongside the Bunurong Land Council and learn a lot about Indigenous practices that have sustainably managed this land, sustainably managed Malau over so many thousands of years. And I know a lot of you in the comments, you regular water watchers, are so beautiful, and you let us know in the comments where you're joining us from, not only where you're joining us from, but the names of the traditional custodians and the lands that you are on for the Indigenous people. So I'd love to see in the comments where you're joining us from. And if you don't know, maybe have a little bit of a research to see who the traditional custodians are of the lands that you are on. So thank you in advance for that, everyone. Now, I think Heather might have got a call from our penguin counter, who is just sitting up in that little white building between those two grandstands. So Sally, our penguin counter, has said something to you, Heather?
She has, Jordan. Sally has just let me know that there is a raft out from the west stand.
Okay.
So we could maybe have a look if we could see it. It's probably heading down to the Penguins Plus. So we'll see if we can see it.
Lovely. So our expert penguin counter, Sally, has spotted a group of penguins or a raft of penguins out in the water. And she said, sorry, just before I zoom away, it was just in front of the stand that's kind of closer to us, so on our side of that skybox where Sally is today.
Sorry, Jordan, they're now at the water's edge in front of Penguins Plus.
Beautiful. So they are now nice and close. So Heather, you were bang on. You thought that they were going to be heading over towards Penguins Plus, so they have tricked us a little bit. Is that them over there? Yes, I can spot a little group who have just washed up over here. It's only a small one, but it looks like these are the first penguins to kind of brave the water's edge. So they've surfed the waves in, and they're getting ready to start building up the courage and crossing the beach to get home. And whether they are coming home just to an empty burrow, because that's how they roll, they might also be coming home to mate, to sit on eggs, or even home to feed some chicks, because we are in the middle of the breeding season at the moment. So there are quite a few burrows here on the Summerland Peninsula that have eggs and chicks in there, and it looks like we've had a few penguins who have just raced back into the water. They've gone, nope, that is far too scary. We are going to stay in the water where we know our beautiful blue, navy blue feathers help us camouflage against the surface of the water. But it looks like there's two very brave penguins who have decided to hang out on the beach. There's a few kind of hanging around near the rocks, and we can see how much harder it is to spot the penguins when they are among the rocks, which even though it's going to be a little bit harder for these guys to cross the beach over these rocks, it offers them a little bit more protection. So when they do cross the beach, they're not quite as visible. All right, hey, little ones, where are the rest of your friends? Oh, no, you are racing back into the water. That is a big fat jar of a nope, they have said. So... How good. So we are literally just going to be waiting for them to pluck up the courage to start crossing the beach tonight. So I did promise that I have a bit of an interesting story to tell you. If you're watching live Penguin TV last night, I'll give you a bit of an update on the penguin that did become entangled by something out in the ocean. Where have you? Oh no, there we go. Just off to the left, sorry, the little group still out in the water. But again, before I do that, I just wanted to let you know a little bit about who we are and what we do for the penguins and our native wildlife here on Phillip Island, here on Malau. So Phillip Island Nature Parks is the organisation that manages the Penguin Parade and also Churchill Island Heritage Farm, the Nobby's Antarctic Journey Centre. We've got a few more friends over here, as well as the Koala Conservation Reserve, which is looking after some of the bushfire affected koalas from East Gippsland earlier in the year. And I've been told they are doing very, very well. But we are a non-for-profit conservation organisation, which means all the money that we get in through people buying tours, tickets and things like that goes directly into protecting our native species here on Malau, here on Phillip Island. And look, the sooty oyster catcher is just chilling out in front of them. You can see the penguins aren't afraid at all. It goes into protecting penguins and their noisy neighbours that live just around them, as well as we look after a lot of woodlands and coastal reserves as well. So thank you to everyone who has been donating to the Penguin Foundation throughout the live Penguin Live TV. We've been blown away by your generosity. Thank you for adopting penguins. Thank you for becoming penguin pals and just giving us some money to help protect these guys. And if you do fall in love with these penguins, we do invite you to donate to the Penguin Foundation. The link should just be in the description of the video below. And yeah, any spare change that you've got to help out these little guys is much appreciated. And that kind of leads in to my next story. But has Heather heard something else?
No,
we're good. Okay.
No news.
No news just yet. That is A-okay. Now, I don't know which ones I'm going to focus on the ones in the water, because I reckon the ones who are a little bit further on land, they're not going to start crossing the beach until they've got a few more friends. So let's focus on the penguins out in the water. So for those of you who have donated to the Penguin Foundation in the past, what your money goes towards is helping to fund our wildlife hospital that we have here at the Penguin Parade. And so it's fully funded by the Penguin Foundation. So sick or injured penguins and other native wildlife do come into our care, and they're rescued and rehabilitated by our wildlife hospital. Things, if they've got an illness, if they've become entangled in something, or there's just something wrong with them, if they're undernourished, things like that, that's when we can take them and rehabilitate them so that then they are ready to head back out into the water and they have a chance of survival, or out onto the land, whatever species they are. Oh my gosh, you are not keeping still for me tonight, penguins. We can do that, and that's a huge thanks to, again, everyone who has donated to the Penguin Foundation by making that possible. So Rich, that little plug for the Penguin Foundation ties in quite nicely to the story that I wanted to tell you, which was I think it was the first group last night crossing the beach. It was very exciting. Would have been around about this time last night. Look at them all running back into the water. And this woody oyster catcher is not fast whatsoever. I was down on the Penguins Plus stand, so on the stand just below, chatting to a whole bunch of wonderful people. I think I got to have a chat to every single person on that stand tonight, and they were so lovely and so respectful of me, the penguins and all the rangers, which was really, really lovely. But as the first group of penguins were starting to cross the beach, I got a call over the radio from Michael, who was assisting Megan in the live stream. That penguin's like, let me out of here. And saying that it looked like there was a penguin coming up in the first group that had something wrapped around its neck. So we do have wildlife first aid rangers who work here at the Penguin Parade. So if there's a sick or injured penguin or any other native wildlife, we take them to our hospital, and then we can go through the process to start rehabilitating them. But because I was on Penguins Plus, I am trained in wildlife first aid. I was the one on call to have to go out and get this penguin, and it was a very fat looking penguin.
Yes. It's an oyster catcher.
Sally's like, I think there's a bird hanging out over here. So I had to get it's kind of like a penguin ambulance. It's a little blue box that we transport any sick or injured wildlife from the site where we pick them up to the hospital. And so I had to get one of those, and I had to wait for the penguins to kind of disperse a little bit so that I could jump into the colony and then grab this penguin with the entanglement around its neck. And I wasn't too worried about this penguin because it was so fat and it was moving quite well. Usually if a penguin is underweight, if you can see any open wounds and it's not looking too healthy, that's when we really start to worry. But if we have a penguin that's got a little bit of a limp but it's moving okay, if it's fat and healthy, we typically leave it because they do heal a lot better out in the ocean, out in the wild, because they are wild animals. But this penguin that came up last night, it didn't look like it had a chance to remove the entanglement around its neck. So I had to kind of chase the penguin up the Penguin Highway because as it was a very fat, healthy penguin, it was able to put on a little bit of a burst of speed. But once I did catch this penguin, we had to take it somewhere nice and quiet and inspect what was around its neck. And I actually bought it in this little bag tonight, and I wanted to show all of you. And unfortunately, we can't actually tell you what it is just yet. So I'm just we had to cut it. We thought originally it was a bit of plastic, but now we're not so sure. So we even can't quite work out if it's organic, so if it's natural, or if it's like it's a silicone or it's a man-made thing. But it had formed a circle when it was on the penguin, and it was very, very tight against its neck. But we were very lucky in the fact that it wasn't choking it and it wasn't cutting into its skin, so there were no open wounds or anything like that. So we've got a few theories about what it might be. And it could be that it's some kind of silicone ring that the penguin has mistaken for a bit of food, and it's put its head through and then all of a sudden gotten stuck. Could be a kind of egg sac that, again, the penguin would have loved to try and eat, or even part of a jellyfish. It is quite tough. It's kind of a tough gelatinous jiggly thing. So yeah, we've asked A lot of our researchers here on Phillip Island, and even they're a little bit stumped here, the researchers who work at the nature parks. And we're getting lots of people who think it's man-made, others who think it's organic. So we're not entirely sure. But the moral of the story, or the end result of the story, it looks like we've got some more neighbours. We've got some masked lapwings just at the bottom of the screen, greeting the penguins as they come home. We were able to cut off this ring around its neck, and we had a little bit of a look and made sure that the penguin wasn't injured in any way. And once we knew it was a very feisty penguin, it gave me a few little cuts and scratches, which I wasn't prepared for because I wasn't wearing gloves. Whoops. But yeah, because it was so fat, healthy and feisty, we were able to release it back on the Penguin Highway. So if you were, oh no, we're racing back into the water. Oh, the penguins are playing a little bit of chicken tonight. He was able to get out of the little blue ambulance box and return very safely. And once he was kind of released, he did race out, you might have seen. But after he got a few meters away from me, he just kind of stopped on the Penguin Highway and looked around and he was like, what's that? What just happened? I don't understand. And then he stopped and did a little bit of what we like to think of as a bit of a happy dance and started preening his feathers on the Penguin Highway. And a few groups of penguins, or a few waddles of penguins, went past him and he was just happy chilling out. And then eventually, when he was ready, he started heading up the highway back home. So it was a very, very happy story in the end. So we're very, very glad and very lucky in that sense that we were able to see this penguin as well as rescue it. So here at the Penguin Parade, we are kind of right at the edge of the colony here on the Summerland Peninsula. We are home to about 32,000 penguins that live here just at the westernmost tip of Phillip Island. So the penguins are actually coming up all the way along the south coast up to the Knobbies and along the north coast a little bit of the Summerland Peninsula as well. So while we were able to save this penguin, and even though we're not quite sure whether it was a man-made or if it was a natural substance, unfortunately entanglements, not only for penguins but a lot of other marine wildlife that we come across here on Phillip Island are often entangled in bits of fishing lines, in balloon strings that have been released up into the atmosphere and come down into the ocean, as well as fishing nets, box straps, and all kinds of things. So if there's one thing that I can please encourage all of you to do is make sure that first of all your rubbish is definitely going in the bin. We have too much marine debris out in the ocean as it is, and we do frequently have to rescue penguins, seals and other animals that do become entangled in this marine debris, which of course we don't want to do, but the best thing that we can do to make sure this doesn't happen is reduce how much plastic and how much we are using and consuming in the first place. So if everyone can think about a few things in their life that you can do to reduce how much single-use plastic you're using, whether that's having a coffee keep cup so you don't have to keep using a disposable coffee cup, which actually has a plastic sleeve in it. They're not recyclable, unfortunately, and quite often the outside kind of cardboard will break down, but the plastic sleeve remains and kind of looks like a jellyfish, which is a favourite prey of the little penguins. And it looks like we've got another raft starting to make their way in. They are really spreading out tonight. That's good. If you have your coffee keep cup whenever you go and get a coffee or a hot chocolate or a chai latte from a cafe, you'll know that your coffee cup definitely is going to end up out in the environment and harming our wildlife. Saying no to single-use plastic straws, and if you wear lipstick and you don't mind getting a little bit or having to reapply your lipstick or get rid of any little smudge marks, that's going to help the turtles, the penguins and all of the wonderful animals. So let us know in the comments all the different ways that you are currently or thinking about the ways that you can reduce how much plastic you're using. One thing, for example, that I'm doing is I'm trying to go plastic free in my bathroom at the moment. So I've got a bamboo toothbrush, I've got toothpaste powder, which comes in a glass jar, so no plastic. It's a slow process, but every little bit counts. So a huge applause and commendation to all of you who are being wildlife warriors and doing small little things in your life to help protect these guys wherever you might be, whether it's home or visiting us here at the Penguin Parade. So that was a little bit of a sermon to start off the night, guys. So thank you for listening, and I hope you're happy with the outcome. And I think Heather is itching to say something to me. She's been like, I want to try and say something, but I don't want to interrupt Jordan in her story. So what's up, Heather? Talk to us.
Oh, lots of things, Jordan.
Beautiful.
I can't stop Jordan talking, folks. So
Surprise, surprise.
our Waddle Watchers are calling the little rescued penguin Geordie after Jordan because Jordan caught him or her. Was it? Did you?
It was a male.
Oh, okay. So caught him. So we're going to call him Geordie, and after you, Jordan. And the other thing is that Stephen wants to know: did Geordie poo on you?
So Stephen knows that I do love a good poo story. So I'll address kind of your 2 points in question. That is so sweet. Thank you so much for wanting to name this penguin after me. Lucky I have a unisex name, so Jordan can be a boy or a girl. Same with Geordie. So I'm very, very honoured. But I do also want to acknowledge that we do have a range of dedicated wildlife first aiders, researchers and rangers whose job it is night after night to protect these penguins, whether that's making sure that they are getting home safe, looking out for little bits of entanglements, talking to people and educating people about the proper behaviour to be around these penguins so that they're not being loud, not making too much noise or too much movement to scare these penguins, and making sure they are keeping phones and cameras away because we don't allow any photography after darks to minimise the risk of flashes going up in these penguins' eyes. So as I said, I'm very, very honoured, but I really, really want to acknowledge that there is a huge, huge team of wildlife warriors here at the Penguin Parade, and if it wasn't me to free little Geordie, it sounds so funny to say, it would have been one of our other dedicated team here as well. So please... I love all the love, but please share your love for all of our other staff here as well, whose passion it is to protect these little guys and make sure they get home safely.
Hey, Jordan, you're being far too humble. Folks, we have had a start at 8:49.
Beautiful.
And if you were watching that first group crossing the beach, there was over 120 in that group.
Wow, so all you water watchers out there, if you were trying to count the penguins crossing the beach, if you got near 120, you did a stellar job. So great work. I'm tipping there's going to be a few penguins to round the corner soon up the Penguin Highway, and I'm just going to quickly switch cameras. Bear with me. And Stephen, I'm very, very aware that I haven't answered your question about little Geordie pooing on me, so I promise I will definitely get to that. The short answer is no, he didn't poo on me. Oh, hello, little ones. Waddle, waddle, waddle. I think there's one remaining. Oh, you've caught up now. There you go. Again, if this is your first time watching live Penguin TV, you're probably thinking, why is this girl talking about poo? Why is she so excited? And that's because over the last couple of months, one of my jobs has been to collect poo samples of penguins, and which go to a special laboratory and works out exactly what these penguins have been eating. I might jump back to the main camera now and see what is crack-a-lackin'. So that usually is, it's a very, very pooey, very smelly process. And when you are often handling penguins, which Megan and I, another live stream host, have been doing, checking our study site quite recently at the Penguin Parade, we have to weigh chicks, and chicks are the pooiest of them all. They just poop left, right and centre. So usually about an hour after checking the study site, you are completely covered in chick poo. It's very, very smelly. It smells like digested fish. Yum. So that's a little bit of context for Stephen's question tonight. So no, Geordie did not poop on me. I just wanted to see if there's any penguins out in the water or starting to cross the beach. Oh yeah, we've got another little raft washing up. So no, he didn't poop on me last night. I was very, very lucky. Normally I don't mind getting pooed on, but because we now have visitors back with us here at the Penguin Parade, I don't mind the smell, but I don't particularly want to be subjecting all the guests to penguin poo smell. So while I was lucky not to get pooed on, I did get a few bites and a few scratches. And again, it's a really, really great great thing. I was grateful that little Geordie bit me, because that meant he was very feisty, and that's a really great sign that the penguin is healthy, fit, and ready to go. So I didn't have any issues or any worries about releasing him into the colony and doubt his ability to survive while he was out there. So thanks for your question, Stephen, and your concern for me and penguin poo.
Do you know which Stephen that was, Joy?
Was it Stephen Pendlebury?
It was.
There we go. So Stephen Pendlebury, you will also know as another live stream host. He is kind of Sky's counterpart, the beautiful Canadian ranger who works with us on the week that Megan and I aren't here. So he, again, knows that I love a good poo. So, oh my gosh, there's some, there is some special penguin cuddles occurring on the resting rocks, which aren't very restful at the moment. You guys don't need any privacy. You're all good. So I hope you all saw that, guys. Penguins are unabashed, as you can see. It doesn't matter who is watching. They are ready to make those little penguin babies. All right, I'll zoom out just a touch so that we can get a little bit more of a broader view. And yeah, let us know in the comments how many penguins you think are crossing over in each little waddle that we have. And if Sally does get a chance, she will let us know.
Yes, you psychic as well as
I
penguin
must have known.
warrior.
We're on the same penguin
So
warrior.
75 and 99.
75 and 99 penguins just across the beach, everyone. So there's some really, really good numbers so far. If you recall, it was 1,115 penguins last night, Heather.
Correct,
beautiful.
yeah.
So it's looking like it's going to be another big night tonight. Looks like I've got a few heading up along the Penguin Highway still. So I'm hoping that we're going to get over 1,000 penguins crossing the beach again tonight. So if you are desperate to know how many penguins cross the beach tonight, tune in, keep tuning in. Oh. Okay, I'm sorry. I have totally just been silenced. I thought there was a dead penguin on the Penguin Highway, and I was like, oh my goodness, how am I going to explain that to all our water watchers? But no, it's just someone's little plush toy penguin that has been dropped. I'm sure there's probably a kid somewhere who's a bit devastated about this. Oh, there we go. It's getting picked up now. There we go. Oh, no, I think that'll probably be Pip. Hang on. Oh, look, the penguin's saying hello. Sorry, I should have switched screens. I got so distracted then. I'm so sorry, everyone. I don't even remember what I was talking about. Heather, what was I talking about? I think we all got distracted.
Yes, I've got a question for you.
Okay, let's go for a question.
I've got actually quite a few questions for you. We'll start with one.
Okay.
And that's from, actually it's a two-part question, from Jessica. She wants to know about the GPS tracking of our penguins, but lots of people want to know whether Geordie had a microchip. Did you check him for a microchip?
We didn't check Geordie for a microchip. He wasn't kind of anywhere super near any of our study sites. So it is possible that he would kind of walk up to one and he might have had a microchip, but we didn't actually have a microchip reader on us, and we just wanted to get him out sorted as quickly as we could so that he could get back to his wife or any secret girlfriends that he might meet along the way, and especially if he has to go home to swap over duties sitting on eggs or feeding chicks. So we did let him go quite quickly because we're like, he's totally fine, he's not sick, he's not injured, we are definitely just going to let him go. But if we do end up taking a penguin to our wildlife clinic, our little wildlife hospital, we've got another little waddle starting to cross the beach. Stacks upon stacks of penguins tonight. We do scan them for a microchip because, again, we're interested to see where they're from. But yeah, quite often they don't because, as I said, we have about 32,000 penguins that live here on the Summerland Peninsula, and we don't have an exact number about how many are microchipped, but anywhere between 3 to 5% is kind of the current estimate. It could be a little bit more, it could be a little bit less, but I can't give you an absolute at the moment. So no, little Geordie did not have a microchip on him. And the other question was about the GPS tracking. Was that right, Heather?
That's correct.
Was there anything specific that we wanted to know, or? just about it. in
Yeah,
general.
Jessica wanted to know about how we use the GPS tracking with the penguins.
Yeah, sure. So if you have been watching live Penguin TV in the past, you would have probably heard Megan and myself talking a fair bit about the GPS tracking, and it was kind of Megan's project, and I was lucky enough to help out with her a little bit. And every single year during the breeding season, we're interested in where the penguins are foraging, so where they are heading out into the water and coming back with nice big bellies full of fish, so pilchards, anchovies, squid, jellyfish, and anything about this big that can fit in their beak and they can swallow whole. Let's follow you guys just over here for the moment. So yeah, we have to track them during their incubation stage. So Megan has to find out, I had to work out through a very special device called a herendogram, which shows the different patterns of penguins, because penguin parents, sometimes they've got a bit of a pattern. They might swap over every 2 days, every 3 days, or anywhere kind of up to about 5 days. So it's up to Megan to try and predict when the partner is going to leave the burrow and start heading out, and then attach the little GPS logger the day before, and fingers crossed that the penguin heads out the next morning. And penguins are, while we love them very, very dearly, they never cooperate. Usually there's always at least one who has stayed at home. We're like, why haven't you left? This is not your pattern. So penguins, again, they're wild animals and they just love tricking us. So we want to know where they're going during their incubation trips. We want to know where the parents are going when they have chicks. So when, for about the first 14 weeks of a chick's life, mum or dad has to be with them 24/7 to keep them nice and warm, to keep them protected and well fed throughout the day while the partner is out in the ocean fishing. And again, they keep swapping out duties. So those guard trips might be, again, a little bit shorter, 1 to 2 days. And then we also want to know where the adults are going in something that we call post guard, which is after that 2 weeks, mum and dad can leave the chicks alone during the day. So they might just come in at night and go out in the morning, and the chicks are just staying at home in their burrows waiting for mum and dad to come home and staying out of sight of any predators. Look at all these beautiful penguins preening themselves just over here, doing a good job after having their feathers ruffled out in the ocean. So yeah, postguard penguins, parents, are a lot trickier because we have to get the penguins at night. So normally in the incubation stage and in the guard stage, the adults are at home during the day, so we can put the little GPS tracker on their back. So it's kind of like just above their tail, between the middle of their back to their tail is about where we put the little GPS logger on them. And so we are able to very easily see if the penguin is there and if they've left. But with postguard, we have to wait for a certain candidate to come in, and so we do that by looking at their microchips, and we go, we know you're coming home tonight, we just have to wait. And then go out into the colony and go near kind of where their burrow is, and we bring our little microchip scanner with us, and we scan the penguins and wait until we find that one penguin that has the microchip that we want to track, and then we get that penguin, and then we have to, at night, put that little GPS logger on and hope it goes out the next morning, which, would you believe it, sometimes it does not. But when it does, we then have to come back the next night and then wait and wait and wait and hope that that penguin is going to be coming home tonight. So it can be a fairly late night during the postguard GPS tracking stage, because you have to hope that the penguin is going to come home, and there's no guarantee that it will. It might decide to spend maybe over a day out in the ocean. So late nights for those ones. Now, I'll have a little bit more to say on that topic, but I think Sally just said something to Heather over the radio.
Did. There were 60 in that group that just crossed the beach.
So, sorry, I was busy. Yeah. Oh, look, there are penguins everywhere. The ground is crawling with them. How lucky are we? And
so
all
maybe more than last night, do you think, Jordan?
Ooh, I don't want to do...
It's a big call, isn't it?
Touch wood. Touch wood. Look. Okay. So last night was the first time in quite a long time that I'd actually been down on Penguins Plus and seeing the penguins coming on in. And because of that, I was really excited to actually talk to people as well, because normally I'm just talking to a screen or talking to Heather or Megan or Michael, which are of course lovely, but I love a little talking about lots of different people. Like to have some variety in my conversations, but so I wasn't really paying attention to how many penguins crossed the beach last night, but there are some very, very decent sized groups coming in, and you know what, I am going to call it, Heather. I reckon, all right, what's my guess going to be? It's only very, very early days. We haven't even had the 20-minute mark, have we?
No, we haven't. But go on.
All right.
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm gonna guess as long as Heather guesses as well. Tonight I'm gonna go a little bit high, and I'm gonna say 1,384 penguins. Now, to just be perfectly clear, that is a guess. I have no idea how many penguins are going to be coming home tonight. There is every chance that exactly after I've told you how many penguins are going to cross the beach, no more penguins will start crossing the beach, and I will be way off. But we used to play when pre-COVID days. In fact, I think we need to bring it back, Heather. We used to play
because there's chocolates.
Is there still chocolates now?
There's chocolates tonight.
There's chocolates tonight. Okay, so all the rangers like to play Penguin Lotto, and that's at the start of the night. All of the penguin rangers have a little bit of a guess as to how, or they try to predict how many penguins. Can't see any at the water's edge just yet. No, that's okay. I will jump on back. Oh, look at them all. And the person who guesses the closest number gets a bar of chocolate. And it's the team leader or the site supervisor's job to provide the chocolate on the night. And at the end of the night, it's a very, I like a bit of an award ceremony. You get very excited if you predict the closest number of penguins. So that's why we do like to ask everyone on the live stream how many penguins you think are going to be crossing the beach tonight, and if you're watching tomorrow, how many crossed the beach the night before. We like to see how close your guesses are, and I feel like the water watchers who are the regular water watchers who regularly tune in, they're usually pretty close. So keep an eye out for anyone whose little badge next to their name says top fan or anything like that, because I reckon they'll be pretty close.
Do you want my guess?
Yeah, yes, sorry. I want Heather's guess. Again,
she gets carried away with her talking.
I get so distracted by penguins. What can I say?
So my guess is going to be 1,250.
1,000. Did you write down mine, Heather?
I did.
Oh, okay. So
do you not remember?
I don't. What did I say? No, hang on.
188.
No, 14.
14.
4.
5.
4.
5.
I can't remember.
We're going to put 5.
We're going to put 5.
1,485 is Jordan's guess.
Yes, yeah. And yours is 1,250. 50.
Yeah.
All right, let's see who's the closest. Very, very good. Now, I was talking a little bit about penguin tracking. I think I explained how we do the guard, the post guard, and the incubation shifts. So, Megan has actually done all of her tracking, which is fantastic. She managed to get all of the candidates back and got some very awesome details about where the penguins have been going. But if you've been tuning in, you might know that a lot of the penguins here are moving on to their second clutch. So because the penguins started the breeding season so early this year, a lot of them have kicked their chicks out of the burrow, they have fledged, and it's time for round 2. So quite a few of them have their second lot of eggs or second lot of chicks. We've got a few more crossing the beach just now. So Megan now, because they're going again, she's going to be starting to track some more adults. So we're looking forward to seeing the results of that. This year, I guess the general results of the GPS tracking this year is that the food is very, very close by. So if it was a little bit lighter, and if I had have talked about this topic a little bit earlier as well, I would have shown you Pyramid Rock and Cape Woolamai, which is along the south coast of Phillip Island. So we're here on the west tip of Phillip Island, and Cape Woolamai is on the east tip. So it's 20 kilometres east from us? Yeah, Cape Woolly?
Is that as the crow flies?
As the crow flies?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay,
Yes.
I've kind of got my estimate right, so that's great.
Yep.
I'm just going to, I'm just going to flick to our highway, because it looks like we've got a few little friends making their way on up. I want to make sure we get our highway camera time. So yeah, they're not going too far away in search of their food, which is really, really good, which means they can head out in the morning and come back very, very easily that night. Whereas in some breeding seasons, the food can be a little bit further away, which means the chicks have to go a little bit longer between. Look at this little waddly fella. Waddle, waddle, hello. Look at all their cute little footprints as well. So yeah, in years where the food is a little bit further away, the chicks will fledge at a slightly lower weight, which means they do have a slightly lower chance of survival, because the fatter you are as a chick or even as an adult means you've got enough energy, you've got more energy stores to be able to fend for yourself out in the big blue ocean. So we like seeing lots of very fat, healthy chicks that poop all over us. But yeah, that's kind of what's been happening. And normally penguins can swim up to about 100 kilometers in a day, but that includes vertical diving as well. So it's not just literally from point A to point B, 100 kilometers. It might be 100 kilometers with 1,000 dives throughout the day as well. So that's why they typically, if their food is kind of triple the distance away, they can't dive as much, or they have to come back sooner with less food. But because we've got lots of food close by, we've had some very favourable conditions with La Nina this year. So La Nina is good for penguins, means there's lots of food and it's close by, and the water columns, compared to an El Nino year, they're a lot less kind of disrupted, because the penguins rely, I'm going to use a fancy word here, they rely on the stratification of the water column, so the different kind of levels and thermal temperatures within the ocean that kind of confine the fish or their prey to a certain level. And when we've got lots of storms and things, which is quite often happens, we get more severe storms during El Nino years, it's a lot harder for penguins to find their food, and they typically have lower foraging success as well. So Jessica, I know that was a very, very long-winded response, and if you're a regular water watcher, you are probably very used to that by now, but I hope that answers your question. And with the new data that Megan will be getting back, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll be able to learn a little bit more about where these penguins are going during their second clutch, whether it's the same, I'm going to jump to the Penguin Highway again, whether it's the same spot, or whether they're going somewhere different. So thank you for your question. Now, about at least 4 minutes ago, Heather told me that there was about 5 minutes left of live Penguin TV, but again, I was in the middle of a story, so I wasn't going to announce that just then. So we'll go for a few more minutes, and I think we might answer one more question, and then we will start to wrap up for the night. And again, I do, apologize. It is a little bit blurry now. Look at this little hoppy penguin. It is a little bit blurry now because we do have a fair bit of sea mist. So I do apologize that the picture isn't quite as crystal clear as what it normally is, but while we are chasing these penguins up the Penguin Highway, let's go for one final question before we sign off for the night. Waddle. Let's have one, Heather.
Okay, from Natalie, and I know you will answer this well, as you do all your questions. Do penguins have knees?
Do penguins have knees? Well, we haven't actually... Just thought of a bit of a silly idea. I'm going to demonstrate to you how a little bit about how penguins waddle, and I'm going to be actually standing on my chair. So I hope you... Okay, a bit of an explanation first. So let's now jump back to the main camera so we can have a nice kind of crystal view of these little guys. So penguins, yes, they definitely do have knees, but they are bent and they're fused, so they can't bend them just like we do. So, hold on a minute. It's happening.
I'll count from safety.
Oh, it's fine. They kind of squat. They kind of, their knees are up in their belly. So that's why they kind of look like they're awkward and waddling. And they kind of have to waddle side to side like this without bending their legs. So yes, they do have knees, and this is how they waddle. So if you're at home and you are not too embarrassed to crouch down on the ground and give a go waddling like a penguin, kind of squat down like this and have a little bit of a go, only using your arms for balance to try and walk around the room. I guarantee you it will be very, very difficult, and the penguins do a much better job at doing it than we do. So thank you for the question. And again, if you have watched live Penguin TV before, you will know that I do not embarrass easily. And I don't mind making a fool of myself, talking about penguin poo and all kinds of fun
Great
things.
demonstration, Jordan. Very good. I think it's hilarious.
Great. Thank you, Heather. I'll have to do a little bit of stretches after that. But I hope you enjoyed my little demonstration of penguin waddling. So with that in mind, it is time for Heather and I to start wrapping up the night and head back home because it is getting nice and dark out there. But I hope you've had a wonderful time watching live Penguin TV with Heather and myself tonight. Tomorrow, come in Heather. I've got a few more things to say, but we want to see your beautiful face, so come on in. Tomorrow night, I believe Ranger Sky and Ranger Helen will be back to do the live stream in Japanese. So make sure you tune in for that to hear some yochi, so some Japanese translation for the live Penguin TV. And yochi means waddle, so yochi means waddle, and it's been my favourite little kind of catchphrase of the Japanese streams. So tune in for that, and also tune in tomorrow to find out how many penguins cross the beach tonight, because we still got about 20 or so minutes left in the penguin count, so we won't be able to tell you official numbers, but remember, keep those guesses coming in and we'll see who is the closest. And I will definitely be watching tomorrow night to see who out of Heather and myself had the closest guess.
We're pretty competitive, aren't we?
We are, especially for that bar of chocolate, you bet. So for tonight, my little take-home message again is please, whether you're out and about, whether you're at home, please make sure all your rubbish is going in the bin so that when the penguins are making their way home, they aren't coming back with entanglements. We are fortunate here at the Penguin Parade to have a wildlife hospital which is funded by the Penguin Foundation that does rehabilitate any penguins that have been sick or injured by any types of marine debris. But remember, the best way that we can protect penguins is making sure that that marine debris doesn't end up out in the ocean in the first place. So reduce, reuse, recycle. If you have anything, if you're chucking anything in the bin that can form a loop, one example is disposable face masks. So I've got a reusable one. So again, reduce. I've got a reusable face mask, making sure that we aren't throwing out too many of those disposable ones. But if you are using the disposable ones, please make sure you are cutting the straps so that they can't form that circle and get wrapped around a penguin's head. So think about different ways that you can reduce how much plastic you're using and become a little bit of an eco warrior or a penguin protector here on Phillip Island or back home, wherever you may be. Ourselves and the penguins will definitely thank you for it. Again, tune in tomorrow night. Stay sane, stay safe. Please donate to the Penguin Foundation if you've fallen in love with these guys and would like to help us protect them. But aside from that, I think that's pretty much all I have to say for the night. Anything I've missed or anything else you want to say, Heather?
Yeah, that we're now having 500 people to visit us. So if you're wanting to come and meet Jordan in person...
Or Heather, meet all of the wonderful rangers.
Yeah, we would love to see you. So book online. It's very exciting having people back here watching these penguins, because penguins make people happy, don't they, Jordan?
Penguins, you can see that they definitely make Heather and myself happy. And I'm sure if you've been watching the comments on Facebook and YouTube, every single night there is just an overwhelming outpour of positive and happy comments about all these penguins and everything that we see here. So I hope the penguins have made you happy, and I hope that we can see you very, very shortly here in the grandstands. Like Heather said, we do have a capacity of 500 people now, and in the good old days it could be up to about 4,000. So we're slowly getting back up there, but we are following the government guidelines and only having as many people as is safe, making sure we're socially distanced and still wearing our masks. But you're very, very excited to see you in person again rather than talking to a screen. Of course, love doing live Penguin TV, but nothing beats talking to people in person and seeing everyone's little faces light up at the sight of the first little waddles that make their way home. So looking forward to seeing you very, very shortly. But until then, stay sane and stay safe. And of course, it looks like we've got another waddle of penguins coming up behind these guys, getting ready to wave goodbye to you. Heather and I are going to do our signature huck off that we do every single night. So again, if you've been seeing all these hucks in the comment, all penguin language, and tonight our hucks are going to be saying goodbye. So thank you for watching, everyone. Have a lovely evening, and we'll see you next time.